So another very important, really positive trait is compassion. So we spoke already a little bit about empathy and compassion. We saw that originally empathy is a kind of a natural capability that is inborn in human beings and in animals also, not only in humans, but humans have the possibility to develop it further, much further. And so it is the ability to perceive other people's experiences. So other people's joys and other people's pain, other people's suffering, other people's emotions and experiences others have, that we can feel it, experience it. And we said that this is really the foundation of social connections. Because if we cannot perceive other people's feelings and experiences, we cannot interact with them in an appropriate way. So cultivating compassion is probably the most important quality to create a healthy social fabric. And it is very interesting. Some years ago, let me go back, you probably heard about TED Talks. So TED Talks, they are like, in the whole world, they are like conferences where people that have very interesting ideas or very original perspective can give a talk. There's a very specific format, 20 minutes and so on. And then they are broadcasted almost worldwide, so it's a very strong impact. And TED Talks also has a TED Prize, which is every year they select one person whose idea, when they think that's a good idea, they will implement it. And they have a lot of financial resources and a lot of network, a lot of human resources and social capital. So when they implement something, it has a strong impact. And quite a few years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, one lady had the wish to try to find what was the common denominator of all cultures, religions, spiritual tradition of the world. And her sense that it was something around what is called the golden rule, which is don't do to others what you don't want others to do to you, and behave towards others the way you want others behaving towards you. So she had the intuition it was something around that. And then she was selected as being the TED Prize of the year. And they created a team that collected stories. So it was a storytelling collection from all over the world, asking people to share stories that for them embodied the most positive quality, something that they felt really was good and nourishing and positive, that had brought them happiness and so on. So they collected hundreds and thousands of stories all over the world, and then they put them together and they used this like a software to identify the common elements. And what really stood out was, what is the one quality that worldwide is considered as the most possible positive quality? Is compassion. That we don't have any culture that doesn't acknowledge compassion as being really the very, very important fundamental human quality. And so they decided to create a core group, which is called the Council of Conscience, to write a charter, which is called the Charter for Compassion. And I had the good fortune to be invited to be part of this core group. We were about a bit less than 20 people, coming from all over the world and all different traditions. We had the Grand Mufti from Cairo, so very high Muslim cleric. We had the bishop from the Washington Cathedral. We had Buddhists, Hindus, Jews. We had famous rabbis. We had philosophers. We had all kinds of people gathered together. Each one was from another country, other culture, other religion. We gathered together and discussed it. We met in Switzerland and discussed for 3 days, trying to figure out how could we formulate. And then what came out was the Charter for Compassion that we could actually even read. It's not too long, it's very beautiful. And then we all agreed that's something understandable worldwide. And then this Charter for Compassion was publicized, and organizations or cities or individuals can sign it and become member of the Charter for Compassion and pledge to try to live according to the Charter for Compassion. So the reason why I'm telling the story is because it really shows that compassion is something universally understandable and universally considered as one of the most positive human traits. Because this ability to really feel for and with others is the very source of all positive actions. And it is compassion that leads to inclusion, because we can feel even with people that are very different. And the more we are able to feel with people that are very different from ourselves, because they have another culture, another religion, because they are foreign to us, because they are whatever, all the possible differences, the more we can include different people, the more the inclusion is complete, the stronger the compassion. And it also has a very positive effect on ourselves, because it means we can acknowledge ourselves as a full human being. So I think compassion is a third really essential quality, positive trait that we can develop as a foundation for a happy school and, generally speaking, for a happy life. So I will read the Charter for Compassion. It also exists in Vietnamese, so you can also download it in Vietnamese, and it exists in very many languages. So there's a short introduction that says the Charter for Compassion is a document that transcends religious, ideological and national differences. Supported by leading thinkers from many traditions, the Charter calls us to activate the golden rule around the world. So now this is the Charter for Compassion. The principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religious, ethical and spiritual traditions, calling us always to treat all others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Compassion impels us to work tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of our fellow creatures, to dethrone ourselves from the center of our world and put another there, and to honor the inviolable sanctity of every single human being, treating everybody without exception with absolute justice, equity, and respect. It is also necessary in both public and private life to refrain consistently and empathically from inflicting pain, to act or speak violently out of spite, chauvinism, or self-interest, to impoverish, exploit, or deny basic rights to anybody, and to incite hatred by denigrating others, even our enemies, is a denial of our common humanity. We acknowledge that we have failed to live compassionately and that some have even increased the sum of human misery in the name of religion. We therefore call upon all men and women to restore compassion to the center of morality and religion, to return to the ancient principle that any interpretation of scripture that breeds violence, hatred, or disdain is illegitimate, to ensure that youth are given accurate and respectful information about other traditions, religions, and cultures, to encourage a positive appreciation of cultural and religious diversity, to cultivate and inform empathy with the suffering of all human beings, even those regarded as enemies. We urgently need to make compassion a clear, luminous and dynamic force in our polarized world. Rooted in the principled determination to transcend selfishness, compassion can break down political, dogmatic, ideological and religious boundaries. Born of our deep interdependence, compassion is essential to human relationships and to a fulfilled humanity. It is the path to enlightenment and indispensable to the creation of a just economy and a peaceful global community. So this is the Charter for Compassion, and I hope that you will take the time to study it and also share it with students and young people, because it can give a very healthy, sound foundation for the ethical and development of young people.